Welcome inside the headquarters. My name's Rory McGoran, and another edition here on the Debrief, as it's your official podcast of the Northeast Generals. We'll take a look back at the weekend series against Johnstown. 2 huge victories for the Generals, and now move themselves 7 points up on the playoff line. We'll take a look as well around the league. We'll have an interview with Mikey Bartkowski, who made his long-awaited return back to the lineup, missing 23 games. Was great, as we all expected, coming back, helping the Generals pick up 2 wins. And now, incredibly, when Bartkowski is in the lineup, the team is 14-4-1. So we'll have the interview with him, and then we'll look ahead at what's coming up, which is, again, every game moving forward feels like it's the most important game now for the Generals as they try and, clear that suffocating standings and just get a little bit of breathing room above the playoff line in their hopes of clinching a playoff spot. But the Gens, they hosted the Johnstown Tomahawks this weekend. It was family weekend there in Canton. So first off, a big thank you to all the families that came down and cheered on their sons, their nephews, however the relations were. But the crowd was great, both from the Generals' perspective and the visiting Johnstown fans. Made it a really great atmosphere in the building. And then, of course, a 4-1 victory on Friday night and a 4-2 victory on Saturday night gave the Generals sort of that jump that they were looking for, that back-to-back weekend sweep in the biggest game so far of this season. And now next week they'll head and carry that momentum into New Jersey. So we'll talk a bit about the game, but first let's take a look at all the scores around the league here on the Debrief. All right, so Friday night, there was two teams, that had the weekend off. It was the 2 top teams, or 2 to 3 top teams, I should say, in the Maryland Black Bears and the Maine Nordiques. They did not play on either night this weekend. Generals, we mentioned, 4-1 win over the Johnstown Tomahawks on Friday. Then they got some help as well. New Jersey Titans were 2 points up on the Generals in the standings heading in to this past weekend, and it was Jason Kai, the rookie netminder, with a 3-0 shutout victory for the New Hampshire Mountain Kings. A bit of an upset there. Big help in terms of the general standings, as that actually allowed them to leapfrog New Jersey, now still tied with points, but having the head-to-head tiebreaker back into 4th place in the Eastern Division standings. The Rochester Junior Americans picked up another win, 5-3 over the Elmira Aviators, and the Danbury Hat-Tricks fell 5-6 to the Philadelphia Rebels. Both those teams, Danbury's currently in the playoffs, but Philadelphia by no means out, so a big 2 points for the Rebels. As now we'll move it across to Saturday's results. Generals, another victory, back-to-back. 4-1, the New Jersey Titans respond against the New Hampshire Mountain Kings. It was 1-0 for New Hampshire through that game for quite some time, but then New Jersey rolled throughout the latter half. The Danbury Hat-Tricks bounced back, so it was a weekend split between the Titans and the Mountain Kings. It was a weekend split between Danbury and Philadelphia, with the Hat-Tricks picking up a 3-2 win, and then the Rochester Junior Americans, identical score, both Friday and Saturday, picking up a 5-3 victory over the Elmira Aviators. So what does this mean for your standings now midweek as we head into game 47 of the season for the Northeast Generals? Well, Maryland, we already talked about it last week. They clinched their playoff spot, still in first. Rochester having the edge now, a 3-point gap on the Maine Nordiques for the Americans. The Generals leapfrog the New Jersey Titans, but still in a tie with points. Now the same amount of games played as well. 52 points through 46 games for both the Gens and the Titans. And the final playoff spot currently is being held by the Danbury Hat-Tricks at 50. The Generals, well, handing Johnstown 2 losses this weekend, kept them at 45. So not only is that big for the Gens, but gives a little breathing room to New Jersey and to Danbury, as it's now a 5-point gap between 6 and 7. Philadelphia split the weekend, but still in the race, and New Hampshire and Elmira, not mathematically by any means eliminated, but they're currently sitting 10 points back of the playoff line through 46 games for each New Hampshire and Elmira. So Generals now back into 4th place. This next weekend they'll play New Jersey, and obviously big 4-point swing nights on the road on both Friday and Saturday. It'll be the first of 4 remaining games between the Generals and the New Jersey Titans. Gens got 13 games in total remaining. They're done against the Maryland Black Bears, 2 remaining against Rochester, 3 remaining against Maine, and then every other game is against teams below them currently in the standings. 4 against New Jersey, 2 against Danbury. They're done with Johnstown, done with Philly, and done with New Hampshire. They'll have 2 more remaining as well against the Elmira Aviators. So that's just your Around the East Division recap and your standings look. We'll bring it back into the headquarters now. So the story of the weekend set, outside of course, it being family weekend, a big group of families were there attending, the return of Mikey Bartkowski, but just on a team level between the Tomahawks and the Generals was the sense of urgency and just how desperate can you play to prove that you want those 2 points more. And that, I think, was what the best asset for the Generals was in that game. They were the more urgent team. They were the more physical team. They won majority of puck battles. Weren't great on the face-off dot as a knock, but not more of a knock, more of a praise towards Johnstown and their centerman. But, once the play was going, they seemed like the hungrier team. Gave up the game's first goal on Friday to Nick Jarmaine, who scored in both games to go up to 28 goals on the season in the top 5 of the league in that category, but then tied it in the second period of Friday's game, rattled off 3 more in the third period where they kind of maybe didn't start the way they wanted, but finished. And then on Saturday's game, they definitely started the way they wanted. They built up a 4-0 lead before running into a bit of penalty issues that allowed Johnstown to score 2 power play goals. I believe both on 5-on-3 power plays as well, and break Keegan Wilson's shutout streak, who you feel for because it wasn't really his fault after 55, I think it was, phenomenal minutes trying to get his second career shutout for the Gens. But, 5-on-3, couple goals get through. I know he was a little frustrated after that, but still 2 great performances for Keegan Wilson. And just the will to want it more belonged to the Northeast Generals. And when games are feeling like playoff games, that's what you want to see for a team that is still, a body or 2 short from getting back to full health. It's that when push comes to shove, are you going to be the more complete team through 60 minutes? And although they didn't like their start on Friday, they didn't like their finish on Saturday, throughout the majority of it, they were the better team and the hungrier team, which is good to see, especially with 2 games coming up in New Jersey where they're going to have to do the same thing. In terms of points, Andrew Gibbons had a few points. Rich Russoretto finished with 5 points on the weekend set to go back over a point per game, scored his first goal of the season. He's played 7 games this year since returning, now has a goal and 7 assists. And then I thought the newly paired up line of Finn Connor, Tyler Kelly, and Alec Hall was a driving focal point of that hunger. You have the speed of Connor and Kelly, who, arguably both of them could be fastest, if not top 5 fastest in the league, and you have them on a line together. Alec Hall, who is 1 goal shy of the team lead. Now he has 17 on the year, dangerous from anywhere, but they're just a handful to deal with that puck pursuit, with that speed, with that pressure. I really like them and looking forward to seeing them pick up some chemistry now and go into Jersey now with a week or 2 of practice time and a couple games. But they were fantastic. Mikey Bartkowski, who we'll talk to again, I don't know what the X factor is of Magic Mike, but 14-4-1 is his record when in the lineup. Generals at the start of this season went 0-4 in their first 4 games. He was hurt. Then he returned. They went on a 10-game point streak. Then alternated a couple win and losses, and then he got hurt again. Came back and 2 more wins to improve that record to 14-4-1. Keegan Wilson, maybe not a surprise, but the Generals do like to go with a goaltender split throughout the weekend unless one, plays away that he really deserves the other one, and that was the case for Keegan. He was great in the loss last week against Maryland and then got the start on Friday, picked up the 4-1 win, got the start on Saturday, and now he's over 500 in his rookie season in net in terms of wins and losses with that 4-2 win on Saturday. So a lot of things that I think were positive for the Generals, but that sense of urgency and just the desperation that they played with came out on top. So let's now dive into the Friday game first and take a look at the highlights from this weekend. Face off one back by Jarmaine. Spun around the boards. Emerson Marshall now. Cross ice, Jarmaine with some speed, trying to get around Ipri, doing so, sharp angle shot, scores! Nick Jarmaine is 27. Alexienko played it right back towards Kelly, and he couldn't regroup in time. Now Connor takes it wide around Peterson. Kelly trying to center it to Hall. The house was messed up with Tomahawks, though. Montaldo's wrist shot stopped by Alexienko. Hall will take a look, scores! Alec Hall picks it top corner off a rebound. And Poulin marks this out. Flip it out to center. Perler, almost has a stumble. Goes across to Peterson. Poulin's right on him. Turn around the net. Perler twisting and turning as well. Moyer intercepts out in front to Poulin. Russaretto, backhand. They're all fighting for it. Scores! Hit Hudloff in the face as he hopes he's okay. Trying to shake it off is Braden Hudloff. He's going to go off for a line change. Bartkowski down the ice the other way. Bartkowski takes it around the net. As Russaretto finds him. Russaretto, Bartkowski up top. Cole McKenna works in. Snapshot, scores! Cole McKenna from the point. Moyer put down. Puck to the point, held in Solari. Logan Poulin just trying to eat it up. Nick Jarmaine pinning on him. Sean Morgan leaning on his man. Couple of whacks onto Tyler Kelly. Logan Poulin able to work it free. Poulin in tight, backhand, scores! What a beauty by Logan Poulin and the Jets. Russaretto to Moyer. Moyer will float it back in. Rich Russaretto drops down to Moyer. Moyer all the way up top. Ipri, he'll go wide. Trying to go down low to Russaretto. Missed him. Russaretto digs off the wall, finds Moyer in the slot. Give and go, backdoor scores! A highlight reel, tic-tac-toe by the Generals. Waste of time. Poulin back down the boards, cross ice play off the bench. There comes Norris. Norris will send it back down into the wall, but there's Rutherford. Up for Hudloff. He's got Poulin with him, he'll find him. Logan Poulin, hard pass, maybe trying to locate McKenna. It scores! Braden Hudloff bounces a puck that somehow ends off of one. Right back to the man advantage. Second one for the Gents. We'll leave that graphic up there for you. 21.5 against 83.4. They win the faceoff. They get set up. It's Ipri. Right side. Moyer. Down low. Russaretto spins, fires. Stopped by Ferris. The rebound for Gibbons. They're fighting it away. It bounces out to Moyer, who shoots and scores! Cody Moyer, the leader in power play points for the play. Tap in by Stewart. Kind of did, but it was right onto the stick of Ipri. D to D Solari. Solari now through the middle and jammed in by Gibbons. 3 minutes left. Griffin. Gibbons trying to steer him aside. Gibbons after the loose puck. Backdoor pass. Falls right to Russaretto. Shot, scores! Oh, he's officially back as a Genovese. Chiris. Shoots. Blocker save by Wilson. Minute and 30 left. Chiris. Genovese. They'll go back to Chiris. Jarmaine's on the left side. It's back to Genovese. Shot, rebound, scores. And guess who? It's Jack Genovese breaking the shutout for you build a 4-goal lead. So Russaretto's goals really putting a difference into this game now. Johnstown 5-on-3 thinks they can score twice in a 3-1 lead. That's a different game. 1 minute to play. Nick Jarmaine again. Jarmaine up top for Chiris. Chiris shoots, scores. Another 5-on-3 power play goal. All right, so there were your highlights from Friday and Saturday night's victories for the Northeast Generals. A couple things that I forgot to mention as well. Cody Moyer picked up a goal in both nights, now up to 16 goals on the season, I do believe. And then as well, a couple of awards for the Generals. That first goal of Saturday night's beautiful tic-tac-toe highlight package, Russaretto and Moyer with the give and go before Russaretto fires it in front to Vinny Ipri. That was named into the top 5 of the highlights of the week. League-wide, that one took home the number 2 spot of the week, so congratulations on them. And then Keegan Wilson as well. We talked about him and how great he was picking up both victories. He was named the East Division's Player of the Week as well, so congratulations to Keegan Wilson on that honor. Now we're going to go to the interview and welcome in, returning to the lineup, picking up 2 more wins when he's in it. Here is Mikey Bartkowski. All right, welcoming in Mikey Bartkowski, now Northeast Generals veteran forward here on the Debrief. Fifth official guest. Mike, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. A lot I want to talk about with you, but let's just start with the two games this past weekend in Johnstown. You make your return after 23 games out with an injury, and it's right back to the win column when Bartkowski's in the lineup. Just what did you think of those two games? First off, just kind of how the team played and how the games went.
Yeah, definitely. We had a good week of practice, and that's always huge leading into a big weekend. After two losses against Maryland, we kind of knew we had to pick it up, and these games are coming in hand, and we have to treat each game like a playoff game. So we had to come out hard, come out physical, establish a forecheck early, try and stay out of the penalty box, and it worked.
Is playing those type of games already, like, you could be clear and they could be a little bit more comfy, but having this playoff need and urgency in February, as a graduating player, just is that even more fun? Sure, it's a little bit more stressful as well, but is it nice to kind of get that early and get under that type of rhythm?
Yeah, definitely. Having that mindset, not even just for like the age outs this year, but for the rookies, it's kind of like, okay, so when we reach playoff time, it's already we're more comfortable, like knowing we need to win these games. So around the room, winning these games is just super important to us. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a little bit of clearance now over the playoff line, keeping Johnstown down there. You'll have two more huge games against New Jersey coming up this weekend on the road. We'll hit that in a bit. But, what did it feel like for you to be back on the ice? Because it was, 2.5 months. Like, it's a long time. I know you had the top prospects to kind of get warmed up, but just to get back in there with the guys, how did it feel?
It felt awesome. It feels great to be back with the boys, in the locker room and on the ice. It's just such a great feeling. Um, my game doesn't feel like how it used to be before I got injured, but I know as time comes and more games develop, I'll establish like where I left off. But yeah.
And just for people who may not know what you went through, what was the injury that you suffered back in November or whatever it was?
Yeah, so against Danbury on the road, I collided with a kid like this, happened to break my radius right here, had to get surgery back in Charlotte. I have 8 screws and a plate in there.
And the recovery, it maybe didn't actually take as long as a normal human being standard. You got back in quite fast, 2.5 months. Physically, just getting back up to speed, did it present its challenges? Did you feel that everything was kind of going at a pace that you wanted it to?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the biggest struggle though was mentally. I was able to stay in the gym. I was able to, start skating and be on the bike and just get my body back in the shape it needed to be in. But the biggest challenge for me was mentally trying to, stay confident in God's plan, knowing that it takes time and injuries happen. But I just had to be patient and and trust God's plan that He had for me.
100%. And it's not your first injury too. And in your final year, I can imagine that was the hardest challenge. Just you know, for someone who may go through it in the future, what can you do to kind of set yourself up in as strong positive mental mind frame that you can when you're going through that?
Yeah, definitely just stay patient. Everything has a purpose and everything happens for a reason. So biggest thing is just take time and hard things come to an end always. But yeah, try to surround yourself with a good community, good people. The coaches and the kids have been great here, texting me weekly, making sure I'm all right mentally. And they're always asking when I'm coming back. So just having a solid community is always good as well.
Well, I don't doubt anyone's asking you, because when you're in the lineup, the team is 14-4-1. Obviously, I'm sure you're going to brush that off and be it's not a personal game, but there's got to be some sort of secret X factor that you're able to help bring to the team as one of the leaders to get that incredible record.
Yeah, I don't know. I obviously can't take any of the credit. The guys, do a lot of work. I try to help out as much as possible, but at the end of the game, it is a team game.
And before we mentioned, like, so you had the North American Hockey League top prospect showcase to kind of get your feet wet in the return. Obviously, that's you know a great accomplishment for you to only play 17 games and still get the nod that they want to see you there. Just what was it like playing in that showcase?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. I'm super grateful to to be picked to go there to play with different kids around the knoll is truly awesome. Um, my legs felt really heavy the first game. I take 10 hard strides and I'm leaning over out of breath. But I think it was a good first 2 games to get back in the rhythm of things, to build that confidence, whether I get hit and my wrist is okay. But yeah, it was a great experience and I'm super happy I was picked to go.
Yeah, 100%. Now there's about 14 games to go. But prior to talking about the finish, we're going to do some breaking news here, apparently, and talk about your commitment, which I don't actually think has been officially announced yet. We'll make sure that that does happen. But going to Oswego, NCAA D3, just your how did that work for you? How did it all kind of come together that was the spot that you picked?
Yeah, I've had a lot of interest around the Division 3 programs. One of my buddies from the Gens, and when I was at BK, goes to Oswego now. I'm really close with him, and he kind of reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I really think this is a spot you would enjoy." So the coaches reached out to me, and when I was injured, I actually went on a visit. Super nice facilities. The coaches are great. Love the coaches, and just going somewhere where I know I could fit in right away. Uh, Brendan Gilmore, who I'm talking about, I'd be able to live with him. He'd be able to show me the ropes, and that's something that I think is super important. Going somewhere where you have a buddy, instead of going somewhere blind and meeting a whole new team, but someone who can like show you around and make sure you're settled in properly. But yeah, great facilities, great coaches, great school, and I'm super happy to be going there for the next 4 years.
Was there any like weight on your shoulder when you don't have one and just the uncertainty, not uncertainty, you're going to go somewhere, right? But did you
Mm-hmm.
feel that, and does getting it kind of take it off your shoulders?
Yeah, definitely. Even like last year as well, you wonder what the plan looks like for you. And being an age out this year, you don't know with the whole rule change what Division 1 or Division 3 looks like, or if you're just gonna play club hockey somewhere. But again, that's trusting God's plan for you, and that's what I did. And He led me to Oswego, and I couldn't be more proud.
And I love how you're talking about trust, because it does lead me into my next question, and that's about your two goaltenders as well. Keegan Wilson played the last 3 games, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. Will Mazanko is the veteran starter that you expect to get the call once push comes to shove. But last year, the Generals had goaltending issues, and you were on the team that maybe didn't have as much trust as you do this year. Just when you have those two, doesn't matter who's starting, what does it help in your game, kind of knowing that they're back there?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you said, trust. Knowing you can go either goalie and they could win us a game. It's super good to know, especially for the defensemen. I believe like knowing you can trust the goalies to make some big saves, and then for the forwards we can go down and get some goals for them hopefully. But yeah, having two goalies is huge, definitely in this league, because the Gents have struggled with goaltending for the past few years, and you can see that it matters so much. But yeah.
What's kind of the message? And I mean, we had the nor'easter, we had the snowstorm that is keeping you guys away from the rink. It's closed up for the last couple days, but obviously the focus still has to be on New Jersey. So you guys are talking about it. You guys are scouting them. What's kind of the read on the Titans, who are tied with you in points and another big weekend ahead?
Yeah, like you said, we're tied with them in the standings, so these points definitely matter. But we're not gonna change the way we play. We're just gonna make sure we're playing our game, which is pushing pucks deep, playing around their defensemen, good in transition, and just shoot pucks all the time, and stay out of the penalty box because penalties do kill us. Even though we're really good on the penalty kill, but we got to make sure we're even strength because 5-on-5 we're pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks like now that you're back, Pacey came back, you're waiting for Spencer Hirsch, that the team is, I think for the first time since maybe you went down in November, maybe even before that, that it's looking like you're going to be at full strength sooner rather than later. As a graduating player, just, how much are you looking forward to that, to see this full potential of a team that maybe you haven't seen yet?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long time coming, but I know once we're fully back as a full team, um, I believe there's not going to be many teams that can beat us if we play for a full 60 minutes. So yeah, great opportunities at hand coming up, and I'm super happy to see like how things turn out.
All right, man. Really appreciate you doing this. First off, welcome back through all that grind. Hell of a job getting back in the time you did. We're happy to have you. Congrats on the top prospects. Congrats on your commitment, and good luck in New Jersey. We'll talk to you then this weekend.
Thank you, Rory. Go Gents.
Back into the headquarters, and big thanks to Mikey Bartkowski for taking the time. Obviously, it's good to have him back in the lineup. Congratulations on his commitment to Oswego, and he'll look to keep those winning ways going when the Generals head into New Jersey. Which, speaking of, let's take a look at the upcoming slate for the Northeast Generals, starting with the New Jersey Titans this coming weekend. Clear these things out of the way for you. One of 4 remaining games against the Titans. You saw in the standings there, which we'll give to you one more time. They're both tied with 52 points. Gens in 4th, Titans in 5th. Then they'll have all of them are hard games, but then they'll play the 2 teams out of the 3 that are above them in the standings. A midweek game in Maine, just the one off before returning back home and wrapping up their season schedule with the Rochester Junior Americans. So that'll take you basically to the end of the first week in March there. And everyone can circle the New Jersey Titans, see if the Generals can, pick up another weekend sweep. And if they can, then that playoff line will hopefully be looking a little bit more comfortable to where it was prior to this Friday's game. So that's what's next for the Northeast Generals. So we'll bring it back into the headquarters now. And that's going to do it for us here on the Debrief. It's a 4-1 win. It's a 4-2 win. It's the return of Mikey Bartkowski, Keegan Wilson, Player of the Week in the East Division. A lot of good things happening, but they'll have to try and keep that consistency going. Still waiting for Spencer Hirsch to return to the lineup, and then pretty much back to full strength. Knock on wood that they can keep it that way. But a really good weekend of urgency, really good weekend of pretty close to a full 60 minutes in both games that they'll pull a lot of positives from, and they'll head on the road to New Jersey. You have now been informed. This is your Debrief.